Hello, this is Spellbinder. I have a video here that will wake you up. I don't know how it will wake you up, but you're gonna wake up. If you don't wake up, it's all over with. The police state. That's what we are at. God, this gotta do it.
There's a great deal that sounds insane, it sounds paranoid, because it's so upsetting and it's been so completely hidden from us that to have it, sprung on you is a bit of a rude surprise. And it's a natural reaction to say, nah, that can't be true, you must be making that up. One is therefore obliged to try to break it as gently as possible to people that by the standards of the framers of the Constitution, the system that we live in now is actually a nightmare. Take the Patriot Act. Everybody's heard of it. Very few people know what's in it. It's a voluminous piece of legislation. It's really thick, a lot of pages in there. And the members of the House of Representatives were given just a few hours to vote yes on it. Dick Cheney actually told the Democrats in the House that if they didn't vote on it expeditiously, he would tell the world that they were soft on terrorism, which is the kind of thing you can get away with when people are scared. So the House passed this thing without having read it and didn't see what was in it. It basically gives the government carte blanche to take anybody away, do anything they want with them, basically.
The Patriot Act and military commissions and warrantless wiretapping and the no-fly list, I think that these terrible freedom killers are directly related to big business and big government's fear that the people won't stand for their agenda. And that's why you're seeing erosion of civil liberties. It's sort of a move to slowly, over time, destroy our ability to participate in our democracy. They want the world and they want it now. And they're not going to let us stand in their way.
What I would say to people who believe that the imposition of this police state, the destruction of their freedoms, the Patriot Act, which gives the government enormous fundamental power over the population. What I would say to people that believe that is for their protection is that I have some seafront property in the Midwest they might like to buy. And if they're that naive, I've got a chance of selling it to them. The Patriot Act is an apparent response to 9/11, but in fact was a long-planned imposition of government control over the people. On the basis of we must stop the terrorists, they've introduced legislation designed to stop the people.
Bill Clinton signed a law in 1996, which was essentially a prequel to the Patriot Act, went through it no problem. Easier for a liberal to do this, as he repealed welfare also. That would have been Ronald Reagan's wet dream, but he couldn't pull it off, but a liberal can pull it off. And so it just begins to ease in, and then bam, you have 9/11. And you have 9/11, the Pearl Harbor of our time, where everybody has to band together. And you notice after Pearl Harbor, liberal hero FDR suspended the civil liberties of the Japanese Americans, interned them without charges, confiscated their land and property. When your area has been attacked, you can basically get away with anything. The American people have been conditioned to accept this.
The Patriot Act is targeted against the American people. The Patriot Act is pointed at the American people. We are the target. It is designed to destroy the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. It is designed to destroy our due process. The Patriot Act states in Section 802 that terrorism isn't just bombing things or shooting people anymore, but any action that violates any federal or state law. Literally, jaywalking is terrorism under Section 802 of the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is pointed at the men and women of the United States. It is designed to destroy our due process.
The Patriot Act and all of these other pieces of legislation which are offered to us supposedly to give the government power to protect us actually accomplishes the very thing that the government is supposed to protect us against. The Patriot Act and all of these other pieces of legislation are supposed to protect our freedom from terrorists or somebody. But when you look at the essence of these pieces of legislation, they take our freedom away. And it just doesn't make sense that you accomplish your objective by working against it.
I mean, if you've ever seen the Patriot Act, you could weigh it on a scale. It weighs like 4 to 6 pounds. It's like this big. There's no way to read or understand it, short of spending a week or two devoted to it. And they produced it, right away. In the wake of 9/11, it had apparently been sort of ready, composed, waiting for months and months in advance of the actual passage of the legislation.
If I were in control of Washington, and I'm not, if I was in control of Washington, and I had just finished reading at lunch my copy of The Prince by Machiavelli, there's certain things that would be important to me, and one would be taking away any of the potential responses from people who may not like my policies. And that's really what you have with the Patriot Act. You have, in 1999, a definitive document which strips freedom from the American people and strips their ability to respond as people who are patriotic, as people who care about the Constitution, as people who care about the future of our country, and aren't necessarily concerned about loyalty to Washington, but actually something more fundamental and basic, who we are as American patriots.
The Patriot Act, one of the most interesting aspects of the Patriot Act, before I talk about the act in itself, is that the 2004 Democratic candidate John Kerry actually wrote parts of it. And when it came into effect in 2001, Hillary Clinton voted for it. And when it came up for reauthorization in 2005, both Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama voted to reauthorize it. So it's a law that in general is accepted across the board by those in charge. And there's a rational reason for that. It's a law that even if its provisions weren't put into effect, it stands over us like a specter. Dissent is squashed because we know this act is in existence. We make jokes in this society that our emails are being read, that our phones are tapped, and we don't think there's anything wrong with that because we all share this common enemy, the evildoers. So these laws are in effect. Now, they occasionally can be put into action. I would probably be surprised if it was put into action much since 2001 because of the power of just a suggestion of the Patriot Act. And the provisions within are are extensions of earlier foundations, in particular an act signed by Bill Clinton in 1996, which started out as an anti-terrorism act and ended up getting involved into the death penalty, changing immigration law, and you begin to see how this broad scope of anti-terrorism just widens its grasp.
The Patriot Act was already written, waiting on the shelf, and it was passed, I think, within 2 days of 9/11. If you look at the massive document, it obviously wasn't written overnight. So what they've done is to tell us that they can't protect Americans from terrorism unless they infringe our civil liberties. So we've seen habeas corpus set aside, also set aside, not just for foreign-born terrorists, but also for American citizens that have been accused.
So there you have it, a police state. I'm so uncomfortable with this. I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'm going to put this up and what you, well, look at and do what you do. This is Spellbinder. Be good. Be good at it. Good day.